Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Full Talk the Wingspan podcast with me, Aidan.
And me, Adam.
And we're going to get right into the new expansion today,
I've been really looking forward to this episode.
We put it off long enough, really, haven't we?
I know, and I think we kind of had a bit of a... Well, you realised the other day that they're going to do the release of the continent on the 31st of December, which meant that we suddenly had very little time because we've got 2 special Christmas episodes coming up in the next couple of weeks, which I would highly recommend you listen to. We've pre-recorded them already. We've got a special guest next week and a special guest the week after, but both are unique episodes, aren't they?
Yeah, both big Wingspan fans, and very different episodes, but slightly different to our normal.
Great fun to record, weren't they?
It was brilliant. It was really good.
But that meant that we only had this week to do speculation about the next expansion, which means
funny.
we sort of had to rush it all out and collate all our thoughts.
I feel like when we first started the podcast, well, I was very aware of the expansion being on the horizon, but was almost like, that's far away, and now it's just around the corner.
I think the fan-made expansion has taken me by surprise, taken us all by surprise, and we've just been completely enveloped in that we haven't really thought about expansion number 4. Is it expansion number 4?
Expansion number 4, indeed.
Not including the fan packs.
Yeah, of course. Expansion number 4. Main expansion number 4.
Thank you everyone for writing in with your thoughts for the next expansion, what you want to see. It's been really interesting to read everyone's thoughts. We're not going to get a chance to read all them out, but we tried to assimilate different bits and bobs to pick out general themes. So yeah, that's that. How have you been this week, Aidan? I haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah, well, you've been gallivanting off around the world, haven't you?
I've been round the southern half of Africa. It feels like. For a man who doesn't like flying, I've been doing an awful lot of flying. The past week.
Incredible trip, though.
Yeah, I know. So for the listener, I was in Botswana this week on safari, and for those who listen, they know that we're not much birders, are we, really?
Well,
but this might have ignited a fire in me. The amount of birds in where we were in the Okavango Delta, which is just this incredible naturescape, really, which has all 3 habitats if you're comparing it to the Wingspan board. So you go into the woodlands and you go into the grasslands, whatever. And the amount of birds that were there was just unbelievable, really. And you don't really get those kind of birds in England.
No,
so I think that's the thing. We just look at our birds and we just got grey birds, and okay, I might offend some birders now, but I don't feel they're as exciting, the birds here, as the ones that are quite easily accessible, perhaps in more tropical plains.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of your colour palette of British birds versus Southern African birds, it's going to be a totally different ballgame.
It's not a good place to be colourblind in the Okavango Delta. Just full of colours. And if I could pick out 2, if the listener is listening, there was the woodland kingfisher, this beautiful like bright blue kingfisher. It was a stunning bird. And then also the lilac-breasted roller is a stunning bird to see live because it's got a multicoloured wing and breastplate.
That's interesting. We'll get back onto that bird a bit later on, actually.
Yeah, but I was thinking about it, and I was thinking if I want to see that in the next expansion, the only other roller we've got in the game is the European roller, which is, when played, play this bird sideways, which is like...
It's an infamous card to
infamously poor card. So I'm a bit anxious if the lilac-breasted roller makes it in, that it might get a similar power, because the lilac-breasted roller is a pretty ubiquitous bird in the grasslands.
Right.
At least in Botswana it is.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's definitely a bird that... When you do see things about the new expansion online and people talking about potential African birds, it's definitely a frequent flyer.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's certainly a favourite for people who are in the know with African birds. So I'm very hopeful it will make an appearance. Very hopeful.
That is good to know.
I mean, who knows if Elizabeth's taking all that on board? But
listening. So this week we are going to basically be exclusively talking about the next expansion, and we're going to also do our weekly opening hand review, where you get given an opening hand and we ask you how you want to play it, and then we tell you what we would do as well. Normally we do that at the start of the episode. This week we're going to do it at the end because we've just got so much we want to talk about with respect to this expansion.
We can't help it. We need to get stuck into these.
Exactly. I'm chomping at.
We've been waiting too long.
Yeah. So go on then, mate. Where do you want to start?
Well, so do you know what? I think let's answer the elephant in the room, right?
I've seen plenty of elephants this last week.
Yeah, they sadly don't have wings.
A herd of elephants. It was incredible. We sort of drove around the corner and there were 5 elephants there, and you look in distance, another 10 elephants, and the distance, another 20 elephants, right?
Wow.
So we drove into this sort of open plain, and the most elephants I counted in one go was 64 in my view.
That's insane.
And we drove around the corner, and there were another 10 or 20. So there must have been like 80 elephants in total.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, they are very territorial, as it turns out. So if ever like the car got close to one, they would flare their horn, just flare their ears at you. Yeah,
interesting. So the only time
scary.
The only time I've seen them before was in Sri Lanka on a much lower scale, kind of mini safari thing.
Indian elephants, so they're smaller, aren't they?
Are they smaller?
I think so. Okay. Listener, you can correct me if I get that wrong, but African elephants, I think, are bigger.
I think that does ring a bell. Actually, we were warned though that they can be quite aggressive, and if you get too close to them, they will charge at you. So I can definitely believe that.
Sorry.
I can definitely believe.
Trunk span spin-off?
Trunk span. Or their ear span, they're kind of like wings.
Ear span.
We're getting into Dumbo territory here, aren't we?
Ear span. Okay, fine. Sorry. I've completely derailed you.
Anyway,
you wanted to address the elephant in the room.
Which is, like, what continent is it going to be? We've got through a lot of the particularly Northern Hemisphere continents, and we're really getting down to maybe some of the less westernised areas of the world now in terms of
you could go that way.
South Central Latin America, Africa, and Antarctica. Really,
those are the 3 options.
Yeah.
For generic's the wrong word, but for standard expansions, because they're always threatening extinct birds, aren't they? It's like bonus packs. But we're just talking, go on.
Main content. Well, a question I was going to throw at you actually on this debate is: do we think it's only those 3?
Ooh.
So an interesting post I saw online in the lead up to this episode is. It's going back a few months now, but it's on the Wingspan subreddit, was a mention that actually South and Central America, Latin America, is enormous.
Yeah.
And we are talking about the most biodiverse continent in the world in terms of birds, that has a third of the world's species of bird.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So, we're and 80% of them are endemic to South America. So that like, talking about a huge number of
how are you going to pick 90 birds?
Yeah, exactly. And so the post I saw is, will they make or combine it all into one, or will you have a South America expansion and a Latin and Central America expansion? Or sorry, not Latin and Central America and South America, and Central America could include the Caribbean.
That would be interesting, but would that be a change from what their original plan was? Because from memory in the big box, it's got the dividers, doesn't it? And I can't remember what the phrase is for South America. Point. Is it Latin America?
I think it is Latin, yeah.
So so if they do that, that would be a diversion from their original plan at the time of the big box. Which I suppose is not the end,
but you are right. That's true. But anyway, where's your money then?
My money, having just been to Africa, is Africa. Because I want to see the birds from there.
That would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Prior to last week, I had no preference.
Right.
I would have always assumed it would be South America or Africa. And to be fair, from people who've messaged in and emailed us, it's about a 50-50 split.
Wow.
Between what people would expect and what people want. So
49-49 and 2% Antarctica.
Yes, very good point. We'll come on to that in a second. Where do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be South America.
Oh.
I think that... So again, another post that I saw, which I thought made a really interesting point, is if you follow the expansion so far, they are essentially going in where the majority of Wingspan players are centred in the world. So you've got the most players in America, and then in Europe, and then in Oceania or Australia, and then in Asia. And if you go next down the list, you're talking about South America. That's a very boring, numbersy way of looking at it.
I would believe that though.
But I think
what other reason would they have for picking the next expansion?
Well, I suppose
otherwise, it's just out.
How can you
split it?
How can you split it?
And I know that obviously that online they've got that web page where you can submit birds that you'd like to see in upcoming expansions, and so perhaps they decide that way based on which continent has the most requests, which would probably be analogous to what you're describing.
I suppose it would be, wouldn't it? I suppose the slightly more fun way of thinking about it is that there are so many bird species in South America that the possibilities are endless, almost too endless. And going back to what we were saying earlier, like, how do you pick? But yeah, that's where my money's going to be.
Interesting.
That's where my money's going to be.
To go back to that 2%, one of the emails we've had in has been from Jake, who's a new emailer. So
thanks for getting in touch, Jake.
Thanks for getting in contact, Jake, from Illinois. And so I think it's probably best if I just read this verbatim, because it's a hot take and I like it. As for the next expansion, I don't necessarily think this will be the case, but I think it's a perfect time for Antarctica. We just got the fan expansions, which added 150 new cards. A continent that doesn't have as many birds would be just fine. You could focus more on new bonuses, new end of round goals, and a new mechanic. I think the game is much more in need of those than a bunch of new birds. What do you think of that?
I can very much see the logic there.
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
It does, yeah, it does. And I think he's right. I mean, I think we probably both agree that the one aspect of the game that we feel needs filling up is probably bonus cards and end of round goals.
Definitely.
Sorry, 2 parts of the game. But certainly with an influx of so many, 150 new birds in the fan expansions, feels like we're not really over that yet.
Your option with an Antarctica expansion, I don't know how they'd play it. I assume they'd pick smaller islands surrounding Antarctica, which would allow you to get grasslands and forests in play. But I suppose the way you could go with Antarctica would be add a complete new mechanic, i.e. an extra habitat, and it would be a modular add-on. Is the obvious thing that would scream out to me.
The other thing that, again, I've seen a couple of things, and I kind of had some thoughts of myself as well, but I think would be really cool is an additional friendly board where you've got a new shared habitat where you can play birds into it that's not on your own, not on your own board. And for example, it could be ice. It could be like an Antarctica board, or almost analogous to you've got Venus in Terraforming Mars, which is like an additional board, but a shared board.
It's a modular add-on, basically.
Modular add-on, but a friendly one which is shared between players.
Okay, i.e. you've only got 3 spaces, and whoever gets there first gets there first.
Something like that. But then I don't know how the powers would work.
Well, then you would activate. If I activated the Icelands, if that's what we're going to call it, I would then get the bonuses for the benefits of your power as well, wouldn't I? If it was a when played power.
Cool. That would be cool.
Oh my God, we should be designing this.
Yeah. But I mean, the other thing I suppose that goes with the Antarctica theory is Antarctica is the majority of birds there are penguins, right? That's
I have no idea.
So there's a huge proportion of birds there are penguins, and at a recent board game conference.
Where are you getting all this knowledge from, Aidan? You're just rattling.
Hey, look, I've finally done some research for an episode.
You're just rattling off stuff at the moment. I'm loving it.
At a recent board game conference, there was approximately 1 in 10 new games had involvement of penguins because it's a bit of a hot topic, clearly. So it goes along with it, doesn't it? It kind of fits.
It does. I just like the 1 in 10 games is penguin based.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Again, I'm getting this from a subreddit post, which I thought was really cool. So apologies, I can't remember the name of who posted that, but that's some very good insights.
Yeah, Jake follows up that email with saying, I think, so when he's talking about the new mechanic, he follows it up with saying, I think this could explain the long time between the last expansion and now. I would imagine a new mechanic would take more time to develop than new birds. Plus, if Antarctica has a new mechanic, and I think it would almost have to have one, I'd rather get to use it for more future expansions than just get it at the end.
Yeah, look so Jake.
Yeah,
spot on there.
Jake, you're putting in a heavy bid to an extra mic on this show, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think, but it's a really good point, isn't it?
Is.
If you want changes, you want to have them sooner rather than at the end.
Particularly mechanical changes.
Mechanical changes. Is that what you want? Do you want mechanical changes in the game?
I do. Yeah.
You do really?
Yeah. So I think that.
Wow.
I think that Asia was a brilliant expansion, but we've talked about this before, haven't we? That Asia...
We haven't spoken about what you would like to have different, though.
Well, no, I suppose not. But what we've said, like, Asia's a great expansion. It introduces some cool birds, some really cool powers, some really cool interactivity between players. And obviously it introduces duet mode and flock mode. But if you are playing for the standard numbers of 2 to 5 players and you don't fancy duet mode, then you have no new mechanics in the game.
Yeah.
It is the same game with just a few new bird powers. So actually, for the majority of Wingspan games that you or I might play, it is essentially a birds booster pack.
Yeah.
And so I think with this next expansion, I would like to see a change. Obviously Oceania introduced Nectar, which has radically changed the game. And some people don't like it. I think majority of people do like it.
Yeah.
We certainly do. And I'd like to see, something along the same kind of lines of that changes the game, a new mechanic, maybe a new board, modular board, something like that. I just think it'd be really cool. I think it's really exciting.
And are you saying that because you just want change or because you think there's an issue with the game?
Not because there's an issue. No.
Yeah.
Look, I made a podcast about this game. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely no issue with it. It would be nice to freshen it up.
My worry with new mechanics is always, rather than freshening it up, it can either feel like a bolt-on or it can change the game for the negative.
Yeah.
And in a game that I don't really think has many issues or any at all, I'd be very worried about a game-changing mechanic. Now, a modular add-on, something that you could say you could still use all the birds in the game, but just have this extra added bonus, that would be fine because people choose to use it or not use it. But I think about countless games that the expansions feel like they don't add much. Yeah. And for me, when I get an expansion for any of the other games, the expansions I enjoy most are just the ones which are more cards, because I like the game for what it is.
I see, and
it's rare that the game is, for me, improved when you change the board or change sort of a mechanic. Granted, I was proven wrong with Oceania, completely proven wrong with Oceania. I didn't feel we needed anything new. It was a complete surprise. It was incredible.
Yeah, but
it just you start feeling like you're tweaking things a little bit.
And
too
I would
much.
also, encourage you to look back at the European expansion adding new power in terms of your round end teal powers.
I wouldn't call that a mechanic change.
Well, I suppose not. I suppose it isn't. Yeah, I suppose it's not. But it is a big change in terms of a brand new type of power in the game.
We've had a new commenter from a gentleman called Paul, different Paul to our usual Paul.
Paul too.
On Facebook, who he wanted Africa. And particularly wanted two birds called the Madagascar pochard and the Madagascar fish eagle, as they're critically endangered. But he said, if they go for South America, then he'd like to see a lot of parrots. And he says they are birds that eat clay, and so he would like to see this incorporated into the game.
Yes.
For example, clay tokens could be traded for cherry tokens, as in real life, it's done to detoxify the seeds that they eat.
Very cool, isn't it?
That's a cool mechanic.
Very cool mechanic.
I'd be completely on board with that
Yeah, I wonder whether that would be a whole mechanic change of the game or simply directing what that bird's power would be.
But that's what I would like. I would call that a mechanic change which doesn't drastically change the game.
Oh, interesting.
But I think what I want from this... So I've just said, I'd be happy with just birds. I'd be happy with just birds. If it was just birds, I definitely want there to be a new colour power.
Yeah.
100%. I think if I had my perfect wish list, I wouldn't want birds that are overly complex. I'd be happy with birds which I'll just gain a wheat from the supply, lay an egg on this bird. Yeah, because sometimes games can get complex for the sake of it, and I don't think Wingspan needs to. And I'd be happy.
Do you not feel like you'd be a bit underwhelmed if you just got a load of spotted towhees?
Do you think I'm just a boring old man and I just don't want to see change?
I don't know. I think to flip it on its head, right? Almost one of the concerns with Wingspan.
The look on your face when you say concerns
is that there's a limited number of continents in the world, and I can't see us making or discovering any new continents anytime soon. If there's any explorers out there who are on the verge of a discovery, please do write in. But my feeling is that we've got limited...
fulltappodcast@gmail.com.
The next Christopher Columbus comes and lets us know about his new continent in the middle of the Pacific. But we've got limited number of continents left to have expansions attached. And do I want to see essentially just a few more birds, or do I want to see something that's radical?
Okay, so hypothetical question, you've got 3 more expansions left. How many of them do you want to see the game change?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think there's room for, and when I say game changed, I would be happy. Like I think that would include a new type of bird.
That's fine.
I think that would be
adequate.
we
all agreed with that.
Yeah, but I think at least a couple of them should add a new mechanic or change to the game and I think Antarctica is, for exactly the reasons that Jake says, it's a great opportunity to do that, just because it's not going to be a birds booster pack because there aren't enough species of bird.
But why would it not be a birds booster pack? Okay, we're going to rehash old ground here. That's fine. I agree. Let's go to your new power point, because I think that's the thing that probably occupies most discussion. Is talk about a new power.
Yeah, definitely.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
before I've got an absolute tirade coming.
Oh, have you? You've really prepared for this bit. It's hard, isn't it? Because you look at the opportunities in the game for a power to apply, and we've taken up a lot of them. I think the obvious things that come to mind are once per game. You can activate a power once per game at any random point.
Okay, so like a when played, but once per game.
But you can choose when to activate it.
That hadn't actually crossed my mind.
Or a once once before round.
Yeah.
So not rather than round end, round start, which would obviously have implications in terms of nectar. But I suppose other than nectar would not be completely dissimilar from a round end. I suppose in terms of end of round goals as well. So they might need to be slightly more powerful than round end ones. Those are the couple that I'd thought of, but I can see you've got something better.
My overall thoughts are that if you do introduce a new colour, the expansion needs to be, half the expansion needs to be the new colour bird. Yeah. Otherwise, that will just get completely diluted into the deck. So if you've got, let's say, a new colour green, for whatever sake, and there's going to be 90 birds in the new expansion, there's already 596 birds in the game, okay? Yeah. So if you make half of the birds, so that's about 45 birds, the new colour, that'll be 45 out of 680 birds. So in the region of sort of 6-7% of the birds will have the new colour. So if you do introduce a new colour, you need to lean really heavily into it. Totally. So that's my first thought. And I don't know if that would preclude making a comprehensive expansion or an expansion that accurately reflects the powers of the birds. However, I think that would be a really good way to say this is the headline of this expansion. Yeah. The headline of this expansion is it's a new colour. New colour power. The way I see it, you've got three options. You can do it. I actually hadn't thought about your option, which is once per game, so I suppose that makes it 4. Your three options are when drawn. So when you draw this card, it gets activated. I think that would be hard to police. I think it would overpower wet chains though. So, and I don't know what would happen to that bird if when drawn, because you then need to get an additional benefit when you play it. So I'm not sure how that would work. Second option, start of round birds. Now I think it would be good, but you've raised the exact issue in that you'd have to do the end of round birds, then the end of round goals, then the start of round birds, and it just starts becoming a little bit finicky and challenging.
A bit messy, isn't it then?
But also you'd only be able to activate them 3 times. So at most, so you'd get, because if you play it in the first round, you only get it in the second, third and fourth round. So the powers would need to be pretty strong. Something like start this round by laying 2 eggs on any bird. That was an email from Joe where he mentioned that. I think that would be a reasonable power. Yeah. But again, it's quite samey to your round end powers. The one that I think would be best, and I don't know where I came up with this, but it will be a once per turn. So the opposite of once between turns. Okay. So for people who play other games like Terraforming Mars, this will be like a blue card in Terraforming Mars. Yep. It will be like a sponsors card in Arc Nova. So this will be a once per turn, i.e. when you draw from the bird feeder, you do an extra thing. So it's a bonus for you and it encourages you to lean more into a particular action. Okay, I see that. So for example, snow bunting is when someone else tucks a bird, you tuck a bird. Whereas this power could be a once per turn, your turn. When you tuck a bird, you also gain a bonus. Yes, sure. It would really encourage chain building, wouldn't it? A power like that. Exactly, which I don't think is a bad thing. No. Especially given the fan-made expansions probably up-value bonus cards more than anything else. There's certainly more powerful bonus cards. You can cycle through bonus cards a lot more, can't you? So I think, I wonder if... I think that would be the option I'd go for, because it's quite it'd be easy to understand, easy to follow, and it's effectively a mechanic that lots of other games have already. It's a discount on your own actions. It's a bonus for doing your own actions, and for some reason Wingspan doesn't have it yet. So that would be my vote, and I'd go for green if I had to go for a colour. Yeah, the colour's interesting, isn't it? I think the main outstanding colours are green, orange. Orange. And I mean that I can see them being the South America and African colours. Antarctica's tricky, isn't it? Because there's already white cubes with Duet. So how would you do that? Like maybe like an ice blue, like a very light blue. I suppose it's teal is blue, isn't it? And so, but that's Europe, isn't it? It's tricky. It's tricky. We'll see. I suppose. Fine. Shall we take a quick break? That's a good idea. Collect some thoughts, and we'll come back with some more thoughts just after the break. Brilliant. Welcome back to Full Tuck, the Wingspan podcast, and we are going to carry on with our musings for the next expansion, which I'm voting will be Africa. And I'm voting will be South America. And we will see. Latin Latin America, yeah.
Again, another big thank you to everyone who's written in. We're only sorry that we haven't really got enough time to go through everyone's ideas, because there's some excellent,
They'd be here
really
for hours,
novel ideas. Yeah.
they?
So Lisa, a regular fan of the show, I think is fair to say.
Friend of the show.
Has come up with loads of good ideas, but I think one that really stuck out to us is an end of round goal that lets you save a turn for the next round. That's
Yes,
quite a
end
cool
of round
idea.
card, not end of round goal.
Yes, yes. An end of round card, so a teal round end power that lets you save a turn for the next round. So it would be, instead of taking your final turn on, say, round 2, you would take that into round 3 and have an additional turn.
Yeah, I think it would work really well. I mean, she said sometimes there's no great play for that last move of a round. You can't get nectar. You perhaps don't have eggs to play a bird, and you don't have a card that you want to play. And it's not infrequent that I come up to that, and I've got this extra go, and I'm just thinking, what should I do here? Should I just get cards for no point? If you could, maybe a bird you could play it, and then once per game, as you've said, for example, choose to take an extra go into the next round. I think is a fantastic idea.
It would be a cool one, wouldn't it?
It would work really, really well, and I'd probably play that bird quite frequently. So
might get confusing.
So maybe not a teal power then, maybe just a once only. I suppose your comparison is with Wormspan, isn't it? Another Stonemaier release.
Yeah.
And one of the challenging things about Wormspan is that come the end of the game, each player has a different number of turns in that final round, just because you can get extra turns in Wormspan quite easily, and it becomes hard to track, doesn't it?
I suppose that's an interesting way of looking at this expansion as well, is, in the meantime, since the last expansion, obviously Stonemaier have been very busy with Wingspan spin-offs, so Wormspan and Finspan.
Yeah.
And actually, do we examine the powers in those games as to give us clues as to what might be happening in Wingspan? I must admit,
I think I've played 6 or 7 Wormspans.
Yeah.
And I've probably not enough to understand the crossover of powers.
I've not played Finspan.
No, I've not played Finspan.
No. So that's that topic of conversation done.
Tick. Who had compare Wingspan spin-offs? That one was done. Okay, that was easy. But
if you at home have played some and have any thoughts, do let us know, because we'll definitely bring those up, won't we?
Yeah, Lisa had another idea, which was maybe along a similar vein. An end of round goal where there's no scoring, but you keep your nectar for the next round. So I suppose it's the reverse of that power which we just mentioned, is taking something over into the next round. So I suppose that's maybe a bigger point, and that would be a mechanic that's quite simple to add into the game. If you didn't like it, you could remove the, say, 8 birds. Stonemaier do that, don't they? They say if you don't want to play with nectar, you can play with all of the Oceania expansion apart from these 17 birds, because they're the only ones that eat nectar. So you could this mechanic which allows you to take resources or goes into the next round would be very easy to add in or not add in if you don't want. So Lisa, that is an excellent idea, and I really value that. Thank
you for writing in.
You should tell Stonemaier.
Yeah.
Do you think Stonemaier listen? Probably don't.
To this podcast?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
We did make it on the World of Wingspan though, didn't we?
We did, yeah. So they've caught wind of us somehow.
Someone has.
Yeah.
Under duress, maybe. Yeah. So that's
cool.
Lisa's idea. And if we could mention one other idea about new mechanics, Benji on Instagram. I like the idea of a future expansion having milestones that unlock new mechanics or even an extra round. There could be combined goals, like once all players fill the first 2 columns, you can discount the first food cost for all future birds played.
Wow.
It's a joint mechanic.
Yeah, I like that. It also plays into the fact that Wingspan is inherently a very friendly game.
Yeah.
There's not really many plays or cards that would detriment other players. So it's and I quite like the idea of leaning more into some, like, almost a co-op element of it.
Yeah, well, this is like some person, if they didn't want to advance that because they've got, say, for example, a really good forest chain, they just wouldn't complete that joint group target. So I like that, because it means everyone needs to either cooperate, or if one person's not happy with it, then they just ignore it. I think it works really well as an idea. So
let me throw another question at you. You believe we're going to have an African expansion, and we mentioned a couple of birds already that you might like to see.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on powers that you might see with these birds?
Well, what have I mentioned? So I've mentioned the roller, haven't I?
Yeah.
The lilac-breasted roller. That bird is a very common bird in the grasslands, certainly where we were.
Feels like it's likely to come up then.
So that might just be gain a wheat, or lay
sure.
an egg on this bird. I don't know enough about the birds. Now, what I'm about to say might be completely wrong, because it's my memory from what the guide told us about the woodland kingfisher.
Yeah.
It's the only, from memory, he told me, kingfisher that lives sort of almost exclusively in the forests lands.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And it doesn't mainly predate on fish, whereas most other kingfishers
do. Yeah, I can't. It's almost hard to believe that a kingfisher would not fish.
Which is why I'm saying that. I might be completely wrong in that, but that's my memory. So
yeah,
I think
that's really cool.
If you've got the woodland kingfisher, it's a beautiful coloured bird, and then it's slightly different to the other kingfishers. I think that would be. I would work around some power around that.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe some out of habitat gain there.
Yeah,
and I suppose something that maybe specifically doesn't include fish. We saw that with the blue duck, didn't we? Reset the bird feeder, and if there are no rats lay an egg on this bird because of that bird's relationship with rodents.
Yeah.
And obviously this kingfisher's unique thing is that they don't fish. Maybe there's something to do with the lack of fish.
Allegedly.
Sorry, yes. But when we say facts about this bird, what we mean is Adam's memory.
We are not birders by any stretch of the imagination. But you've asked me that because you've got something to mention, I'm sure. Go on.
I do. So one of my favourite, I think, birds in the world.
Is it ostrich?
Well, no. So the ostrich we know is going to come up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's on the big box.
Yeah.
It's on the nesting box.
I would do, if it was ostrich, I would do something about running.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Or it would be the singular egg, wouldn't it? The singular massive egg.
The big egg.
Big egg. But I would try and incorporate something to do with running.
Do you think? Yeah, I suppose
because it runs, doesn't it? That's its USP.
Mm.
I can't think how I'd incorporate it. Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. No, I think I think that the things we know are the ostrich is going to come up in the Africa expansion, the toucan's going to come out in the South America expansion because they're on the big box.
They're on the box. Yeah.
So we know that. We know that. What I was going to say is one of my favourite birds in the world is the shoebill.
Oh,
which is for those, I'm sure lots of you who are much more birder inclined than we are will be very familiar with this bird. But this is a very large prehistoric looking bird. It's called the shoebill or the shoe-billed stork.
I think it's the shoe-bill stork.
It can also be called.
From memory, there were quite a few other types of. Oh, maybe it was spoonbills or
Yeah. So and so this is a very cool prehistoric looking bird. Very scary looking bird, and it's very large, almost human height as it stands.
Where does it live?
Up past, not sure. Oh no, it's wetlands bird. So it's got a very large bill, shoe bill, and it's got a hook on the end of that bill. And the way that it eats, it's a predator bird, and it predates on fish by standing in oxygen poor water, waiting for fish to come to the surface. Standing very, very, very still for a very long period of time, so it's unnoticed, and then will quickly use its hook-shaped bill to spear fish, essentially. So yeah, it'll be a wetlands bird, I would imagine, and have a predator power, something to do with fish, would be my guess.
Would that be Africa expansion?
Yeah, so it's an African bird. So, but really cool. It's a bird that makes an appearance in Ark Nova, which is another animal-based board game, and one you'll have all heard us mention a few times because we really like it. But yeah, that would be a cool one.
That would be a cool one.
I'd really like to see the shoebill. I think that would be one of my favourite cards. I think if it made an appearance.
One thing I've thought about is not about specific birds, but about how the expansion will change the game overall. So maybe this is leaning back to our mechanics discussion.
Yeah.
Any design of the game, of the new expansion, will have had to be confirmed, presumably long before the fan-made expansions were confirmed?
I would have thought, yeah. So, I mean, if you'd followed follow back the Stonemaier, obviously they track the progress. I think they were in the kind of design phase well before the fan expansions were released.
So you wonder how the two would interact.
Yeah.
And maybe there's been something that's going to come out which is going to make the fan-made expansion incredibly powerful, or because when they design the expansions they balance it against all the previous ones.
Of course
don't
they do. Yeah.
So I'd be really interested to think about, I doubt they'd be able to change anything with this expansion based on the fan expansions, would they?
But then I also think they would be smart about this, and they would have thought about, because obviously Stonemaier did have a say in moderating the fan expansions to an extent, although from our previous interview with Flan, for those of you who haven't seen that, it's a great episode.
Yeah,
Please
go back to an episode with Flan. I think it's episode 14.
But Flan is was the creator of the British Birds fan expansion pack, and also a very strong competitive Wingspan player. And he was saying he actually had quite a considerable amount of freedom. So, but I also would have thought that Stonemaier would have considered that. I've considered the expansion that they were creating. I've considered the birds that were coming in. maybe vetoed birds that felt they were too similar or were replicas of powers that they were planning to bring in. But so yeah, it would. But you're right, it will be really interesting to see how they interact and whether they clash.
Episode 13 for our interview with Flan, where we talk about his fan-made expansion and also competitive Wingspan, which he is very adept in. We have rather foolishly just entered a 3-player online game with him, which we're quite anxious about.
We're quaking in our boots.
We are quaking in our boots. Yeah. Okay. Should we move on?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've done well there.
Okay. So bonus cards.
Yeah.
Have you got any that you want to add in?
Oh, no. Not something I've thought about specifically. I other than saying I think we are due some new bonus cards.
We are due bonus cards and we are due end of round goals.
Definitely.
That's the only thing I want from this expansion. Plenty of new bonus cards, plenty of new end of round goals. And also I want bad bonus cards. Because your face...
I don't want bad bonus cards.
Your face is hilarious.
Why would you want that?
Because if you introduce 20 new gun bonus cards or 6 new gun bonus cards, then it's just going to make bonus card play even more powerful.
I do agree with that.
And the whole point in the game is you're trying to balance the game. Okay, so the expansion for me should re-up power the grasslands and make it slightly more appealing to build a grasslands chain or easy to build a grasslands chain. And the bonus cards are already one of the best tactics in the game. Even better with the Great Indian Bustard and Endangered Species Protector. Even better with all the fan-made expansions that predominantly allow you to cycle through bonus cards to get that combo. And so I think to keep the balance, you need a good number of bad bonus cards.
I don't think that's the direction they'll go in. They're not going to intentionally water down the good cards.
No, it's not watering down.
It is. That's exactly what you're saying.
So, for example, the bonus cards, which are number of birds which eat a cherry.
Yeah.
Eat a wheat, for example.
Okay, yeah.
That's an objectively bad bonus card.
It's a hard one
It's
to
a
achieve,
bonus card. So I wonder if they should think about just basic ones which are hard to achieve. That being said, I would like birds that only live in one habitat, i.e. the opposite of birds that live in multiple habitats.
Yeah, okay.
So that's just the straight opposite, which makes sense. It feels like there's a gaping gap there, isn't there? And it would need to be sort of 8 or 9 birds to get the highest, maybe 7 or 8 birds to get the highest.
Yeah, most birds are single habitat birds, so you would have to. It would have to be a strong one.
And then I suppose that would pair quite nicely with the birds that can only live in the trees, forest, or wetlands.
Yeah, it would.
Which are all quite hard bonus cards.
Would,
so I feel like that would be quite fair. Joe's emailed in and he's thought of one which is a great idea called Size Matters, and you would score points per bird with phrases such as great or little or small.
Yeah, or lesser. Yeah, I've seen that idea before.
So the count that he came up to is 25 birds have that. So 15 have great or greater, 1 with small, 8 have little. You just said lesser. That would also count. I think, is that a challenge in one of the campaigns?
Oh, it possibly is. I've not done it. If so, but
I don't know if I've just ruined your campaign.
Don't worry. And for all the listeners,
yes, I might just have to bleep that bit out. Sorry.
Maybe
it's not. Maybe it's not.
One thing I would say, just from you saying that there off the top of my head, is 25 birds in the context of 600 birds.
Not enough. But he doesn't include lesser.
Okay.
In it, so lesser would also.
Maybe it would have to be like a 3 point per bird kind of situation because it's just too small a number really.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I suppose that is fine. Well, I think what I would like to see with bonus cards is more of the kind of bonus cards where they have potential to score big, but they are really hard to do that. What ones I'm thinking of are bonus cards such as you score 3 points for a column that has 3 different power types in it.
Yeah.
So that I really like that bonus card because it's fun. You feel like when you achieve well on it, you really had to work for it. You do really have to think about the birds you're playing and the order that you're playing them in. And I think it's a challenge. That one, and also the columns with the same nest types in is another similar example where I think they have potential. You can score 15 points on those.
So that's
cards.
The behaviourist bonus card.
Yeah.
That is for each column that contains birds with 3 different power colours, score 3 points.
Yeah.
So you can score 15. I don't know if I've said this on the pod before, but I think the most impressive thing you can do in Wingspan is score 15 points in that. Because number 1, you filled your board, and number 2, you filled it with this added rule that is really challenging to follow.
Really challenging.
I think that's the most impressive thing you do in the game. But I agree. Have you got any examples that you use?
Not off the top of my head.
No. Okay. So fine. Yeah, I see what you mean though. But in another game, you'd also class that as a bad bonus card because it's hard to score highly on. So that's something that I'd be happy with.
But I think that's where. So I'll give you an example to display the point I'm saying is so the bonus card, which is in the original game of if you've got a bird with 4 eggs on it, score a single point. And I think we would all agree that that's a not a particularly good bonus.
It's almost
card.
redundant now.
It's almost redundant to score, say, more than 5 points on that bonus card, which is what I'd say is a good performance for a bonus card. Is not only have 5 birds that have 4 or more egg capacity, which are a minority of birds in the game, you also have to put 4 eggs on each of them, which is laying 20 eggs. So I think that's a really difficult bonus card. I would say that's a bonus card where it's really challenging to do well on it, and like it's to the point of almost being impossible to do well on it. Whereas something like the Behaviourist, there is potential to do really well on it.
So that's breeding manager, birds that have at least 4 eggs laid on them.
There you go. So that's what I'd like to see more of. I'd like to see more, maybe ones that aren't just like, you're guaranteed to score well on this, such as the the bonus card, or such as the mechanical engineer,
which is sets of having 2. You score the higher if you have 2 sets of nests.
4 nest types.
So effectively 2 bowl nests, 2 cavity nests, 2 platforms nests, and 2 grounds nests.
Yeah, so I would like to see more that are not just guaranteed points, but you do have to work for them a bit more, and maybe other kind of bonus cards where if you get them early, you have a good chance to do well on them. If you pick them up late, you're really rolling the dice.
Yeah, well, Stonemaier, if you're listening, it's too late.
It's probably too late.
It's too late, isn't it? It's completely too late, so sorry about that.
I would say on the expansions point generally, there's a little snippet that I've got from Elizabeth Hargreaves herself.
What?
Not. This isn't exclusive. This has been drawn from a previous article that I found online. So she said it's going to be beautiful, and the latest round of playtesters all loved the twist it adds.
Oh!
But that's all I'll say for now.
Why did you lead with that, Aidan?
And then, I thought I'd leave you with a little nugget.
Now
and
that
then,
is a teaser.
Additionally, a survey that had been sent out, trying to survey opinions on bird powers that people might want, had a bit of information in it which said primarily a more stuff expansion with one big new mechanism.
Sold that. So it's a how Aidan, we're like 40 minutes into the episode. You're only going with this now. That's the headline. That's
what we're going to leave you with, people.
Primarily new stuff.
That's primarily a
new stuff. So that's just new birds, new bonus cards.
Primarily a more stuff expansion.
Banging. That's great. I love that.
One big new mechanism.
Oh. Why didn't you lead with this?
And this is probably the big new mechanism that Elizabeth was referring with the playtesters, because I wanted to leave you with it. I didn't want to. I wanted to hear all your ideas. I wanted to hear everything you've gone down.
I would have really thought about my one big new mechanism then, and really said, "This is where I'm going to hang my hat on."
We'll leave that as food for thought. Something to keep you up at night.
God, on that bombshell. Should we move on to an opening hand?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh dear. Right. So the opening hand for this week is absolutely reeling from that. I am.
I love that reaction.
Yeah, you've completely thrown me.
So yeah,
I need a minute. I think. Can you read them out?
Of course I do. So we've got the opening hand review for this week. We've got the sand martin, which lives in the grasslands or the wetlands, eats 2 witchy grubs, 1 point, star nest, 3 egg capacity. Flocking round end teal power. For each other bird in this habitat, tuck 1 card from the deck behind this bird. The black-bellied whistling duck, which lives in the wetlands, 2 wheat cost, 2 bird points, cavity nest, 5 egg capacity, flocking brown when activated power, discard 1 wheat to tuck 2 cards from the deck behind this bird. The common kingfisher, in contrast to your woodlands kingfisher.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it does look a lot like the woodlands kingfisher, but it doesn't live in Africa. So.
The common kingfisher lives in the wetlands, eats a witchy grub and 2 fish, 4 bird points, star nest, 5 egg capacity, brown when activated power, steal a fish from another player's supply and cash it on this bird. They gain 1 food from the bird feeder. The desert wheat ear, which lives in the grasslands, eats a witchy grub or a wheat, 2 bird points, stone nest, 2 egg capacity, brown when activated power. For each bird in your grasslands with an egg on it, roll any 1 dice, choose 1 type of food you rolled and gain 1 of that food from the supply. And finally, the great spotted kiwi, which lives in the grasslands or the forest, 2 witchy grubs and an anything in its food cost, 4 bird points, star nest, single egg capacity, and a teal round end power. Cash 2 witch teas from the supply on this bird. You may spend witch teas cached on this bird whenever there is an egg on it.
And your 2 bonus cards, Behaviorist. For each column that contains birds with 3 different power colours, you get 3 per column. Brilliant. And then Photographer, which is birds with colours in their names, and to score the higher you need 6 birds, and that gets you 6 points.
That's a tough one. And then we've got the little owl in the tray, which lives in the grasslands or the forest, eats a witchetty grub and a rat. 4 bird points, cavity nest, 2 egg capacity, brown when activated power. Steal a rat from another player's supply and cache it on this bird. They gain 1 food from the bird feeder. The rufous-banded honey-eater, which lives in the forest or the wetlands, eats a witchetty grub or a nectar. 0 points. Bowl nest, 4 egg capacity, brown when activated power. Discard a witchetty grub. If you do, gain a nectar from the supply. And then the Eurasian eagle owl, which lives in the grasslands or the forest, eats 2 rats, 4 points, platform nest, 2 egg capacity, brown predator power when activated. Up to 3 times, draw 1 card from the deck. When you stop, if the bird's total wingspan is less than 110 centimetres, tuck them behind this bird. If not, discard them.
And then your your end of round goals are just some classic old school end of round goals here. Round 1, birds in 1 row. Round 2, eggs in cavity nests. Round 3, eggs in forest. And round 4, cards in hand.
And I've realised we've not given you any information about how number of players or where you're going, so that does make it challenging.
You had to figure it out this week.
Yeah, I did. I was reeling being left by myself to do the opening hand review.
Whilst I was sunning it up in Botswana,
Yeah.
looking at all different cranes.
But that being said, we've actually had a lot of you write in and give us some of your thoughts on it.
And no one criticised us for it, actually.
No,
so we have some.
We've got away with it.
Very generous fans. Thank you very much.
So what would you do, Adam?
If we were playing as a group of friends, I would offer what we sometimes do offer, where we go, redraw?
Yeah.
Sometimes with our friends, and if we all agree we will go for a redraw.
Which I think is a fair rule.
I can't say it happens very often, but if everyone's consenting to it, then that's fine.
Then it's fair.
But in the event that probably would not be allowed to redraw, God, I think I'd definitely keep the sand martin. So that's a new British bird, lives in the wetlands or the grasslands, and it's a round end power. For each other bird in this habitat, tuck 1 from the deck behind this bird. I'm also keeping it because it's a star nest. Yeah. And I think the other one I'm probably going to keep would be the great spotted kiwi, which is another new expansion bird. Round end power, cache 2 witch grubs from the supply on this bird. You may spend witchetty grubs cached on this bird whenever there is an egg on it. But it's also a star nest.
Yeah. And
so I'd probably pop that in my trees, and the sand martin would go in my wetlands, and I'd go digging, I think, to be honest.
Okay, it's interesting.
And then I think, because I've got 2 star nests here, they'd both qualify for round 2 end of round goal, and only one of them would qualify for round 3 end of round goal. If I was being smart about it, I'd keep the behaviourist and try and get a different bird out in the trees, which would allow me to have 3 different power colours in a row, because this way I'm having 2 round end powers in my first column, which immediately ruins that end ruins that bonus card. And then depending on where I'm going, Aidan, depending on where you decide that I go and how many players there are, I'll be trying to get the Eurasian eagle owl, because that is from the tray, because that bird is a highly underrated bird and probably should have been included in last week's left field bird segment. Yeah.
Do you think? I find it frustrating.
Do you? So Eurasian eagle owl, when activated, up to 3 times, draw 1 card from the deck. When you stop, if the bird's total wingspan is less than 110, tuck this behind this bird. I think most of the time you get 2 birds, don't you? At least?
I mean, I've certainly...
I rarely take it to 3, but most of the time you get 2.
I've certainly seen a lot of you who've written in who have been a big fan of it and want to pick them up. So, I can see that. I think I would do similar to you. I'd keep the San Martin and the great spotted kiwi, but I would also keep the desert wheatear. And my play would be get the great spotted kiwi in the forest, as you did, and I would put the desert wheatear in the grasslands, and then I'd look to get the San Martin in the next column in the grasslands and keep the behaviorist.
Okay.
And then I'd kind of look to be building a grasslands chain. Yeah, with round 1, 2, and 3 really do suit a grasslands chain. I know I'm breaking Flan's rule there of where are my cards coming from, because I've got nothing in the wetlands and no potential to draw anything that might go in the wetlands. But I think that's where I see synergy. I think you've got a good... With between the desert wheatear and the great spotted kiwi, you're going to be having a reasonable supply of food. Yeah. You're going to be getting eggs from the fact that you are... You need eggs to supply the wheatear and the great spotted kiwi power, and having a grasslands chain is helpful for that. But I suppose the only other thing you could consider doing is, keeping the common kingfisher or the whistling duck. But I just don't. I'm not a fan of those powers.
What are you doing? Why are you keeping two of the objectively worst birds in the game?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm not doing that.
Oh,
but
right,
I'm saying
okay.
it is a thought that might enter my head. But no, I think what I'm doing is keeping the sand martin, the wheatear, and the great spotted kiwi and the behaviourist card.
So Benji's doing quite similar on Instagram. He's keeping the great spotted kiwi and the desert wheatear. But differently to you, he's planning to pick up the rufous-banded honey-eater, which, to be honest, that's a bird that I just overlooked immediately. Because he said it would pair well with the kiwi.
It would.
And that's something that I hadn't even realised. So the rufous-banded honey-eater, when activated, discard 1 witch grub. If you do, gain 1 nectar from the supply. And you should have a lovely amount of witch grubs on your great spotted kiwi if you play your cards and eggs right. So I absolutely love that idea, Benji. Completely overlooked from the pair of us.
Yeah, well done on that. That would be a nice way of using it, wouldn't it? A lovely way of using it.
Jake has also emailed in. He'll keep the sand martin and the wheatear. Similar to me. It's kind of only these 3 birds that we're keeping, aren't we? I hope I'll get the eagle owl. Oh, he's done basically exactly what I've done.
There you go.
And he'll keep the photographer. I don't think this is an amazing opening hand. Jake, I could not agree more.
I don't think it's amazing, but I do think that with a couple of lucky card draws, you can turn it into something pretty impressive.
I would agree with that. There's definitely potential. There's no obvious synergy, but there is some potential.
I think
and
so.
And the cards are good cards. San Martin, you could get a lot of... minimum San Martin, you should be getting 4 extra cards tucked under that. But if you play it right...
If you play round 1, you could...
And you get 2 there. You've got at least... You're totting more than 10, aren't you?
Definitely.
Hopefully.
Easily more than 10.
Yeah, I like that one.
Which is... I don't know about you, but in my head... When I've got a card that has a power which is purely a points power, so there's nothing else about that power that's going to gain you resources in any way, the only thing it's going to do is gain you points. My kind of marker for is it a good bird or not is kind of 10 to 12 points. If I think it's likely to gain me more than 10 to 12 points, then I'm like, that's a good bird. And the San Martin, I think, is a big green tick in that box.
Wow, I might steal that law to go by. I like that. What I would say is more recently, or ever since speaking to Jeff, JK49 fan, and looking at his database, that kind of taught me that birds that just get you points, you shouldn't be keeping at the start of the game. You should be keeping birds that get you resources at the start. So I've tended to slowly move away from those kind of birds for now. But the San Martin is a cheap bird, star nest. If it wasn't a star nest, I wouldn't keep it.
Yeah, the star nest does help. I mean, you're off to a flyer there as well if you're getting, 2 star nests down.
Yeah.
And I think the Desert Wheatear is a really powerful card, underrated in terms of, fit out of habitat resources.
And it's another one where you control the bird feeder.
Yeah.
If you have enough eggs... would your kiwi also be in the grasslands?
No, my kiwi's in the forest, my San Martin and my Desert Wheatear are in the grasslands.
Right, okay, yeah. Because if the kiwi was in the grasslands as well, that would work well in terms of for each bird in your grasslands with an egg on it, the kiwi needs the egg on it for the underground grass. So there is actually synergy. We're just not very good at seeing it, aren't we?
I thought I saw synergy.
Yeah, maybe I just ignored you. I wasn't too busy thinking about my own play.
But no, another interesting one, another thought-provoking one, and thank you all for writing in. We really do appreciate it. It makes our podcasting much more interesting when we have other people's opinions to go off.
We love your comments. We love your emails. We respond to most of them. We are fulltuckpodcast@gmail.com, but we're also on Instagram, Facebook, and we see your comments everywhere, if they're on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
We don't have any Apple Podcast commenters, so...
Yeah, an area we need to branch into.
Maybe we need to spend on that.
But it's been brilliant. And also I would say, thank you so much for all of your input on the new expansion. Because, stuff that neither of us would have thought of in a million years. Really cool. And I think it's really testament to how creative, clever our listener base is.
You all are, yeah. So, next week, it's a very special Christmas opening hand because it is 7 days till Christmas, isn't it? At time of recording. So our next episode is going to come out on Christmas Day. Me and Aidan are actually taking a bit of a break from recording, but that's because we've pre-recorded you 2 very special Christmas episodes.
Still content coming out.
So they are going to come on your usual time. So we're going to have an episode next Thursday, a Christmas special. That's going to come out on Christmas Day. If you want to listen to it on Christmas Day, you are more than welcome.
Yeah.
You will not regret it.
I can't think of anything more festive.
It's the first thing in the morning. Forget the presents. Whole family.
I just want to open my new episode of Full Tuck.
Santa, I've been a good boy this year. What I really want for Christmas is a new episode of Full Tuck podcast.
That's all I want. Wrapped and underneath the tree.
Yeah. And then the following week, we've got another special episode, which is not a Christmas episode, but should we tease what it is?
Let put it this way. Let's just say we've gone away from our normal format, and there may be an element of live game playing.
I like that. So we will speak to you guys in the new year. So next week's a Christmas episode. Then we're going to have the break for this live episode where we won't discuss an opening hand.
No,
so for your Christmas Day, the opening hand you get for the Christmas Day episode, we will discuss in a couple of weeks' time in the new year.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys in the new year.
With some more information on the new expansion.
Oh my word, yeah. Have a great Christmas, a great new year, and a great break.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on the flip side.
Lovely. See you very soon, guys. Merry Christmas.